Okay, you are sort of giving some sort of money, $135,000 to these AI startups. And Korean government is also giving some money to these AI startups here in Korea. What sort of strings do you have for your money if you give it to Korean companies?
We don't. I mean, if they happen to be Korean, it's great. It would be an advantage that is happening. The one thing that I feel that it's that I need to make it clear. So far with the Todalerity, when we were raising the $13.5 million, we had to put the investment thesis in front of the LPs, and what seemed to resonate really well with them and got us to raise the money very quickly on the fund is that we don't evaluate those startups the same way like other funds. They just sit in their office and evaluate. We don't do that.
That they get the Korean funds as well?
But let me tell you a little bit about like who do we invest in. So we sourced from the top 50 micro VCs globally. 43 of them, they happen to be in Silicon Valley. What do we mean by the top 50 micro VCs? Because they can be top 50 in the size, they can be whatever. We looked at the top 50 with their ratio of investments that they get to be unicorn. Not the return on investment, unicorn. That's what we care about. The ratio of their investment that they get to be unicorn. Sorting by that, we're able to get their ratio averaged about 20%, that top 50. So the math that we're doing, when we invest in 100 startups, but 20 of them are likely to become unicorn at some point. So our small amount of money, each and every one of them, is giving us equity in companies that they are going to be unicorns. 80, we're going to lose our money. We know that. But from now until then, we're just giving it to them without any questions saying that, oh, we need to evaluate you. Because adding another layer of evaluation will mess up that formula. So we don't do that. We do the deals with the VCs. We send them a contract. They sign the contract and we sign the contract. All what the contract says, they're willing to send us 2 startups per year. That's it. They send us those 2 startups. We send them the money. At their terms, no strings attached. One single condition is that they use this money to pay their engineers. So then their engineers, if they work overtime or whatnot, so they can plug into the Todalerity. And here's where we win on the other side. So there's the Todalerity fund is gonna win with having equity, but then there's the Todalerity Corp. Those are 2 different entities. Todalerity Corp makes rev share from each and every one of those companies that they plugged into the Todalerity. Why? Because it's giving them that phenomenal marketplace, which is Singularity built on Toda, with the ability to have each and every one of them sell much more computation than they've ever dreamt that they could sell in a setting that no one can control from that point onwards. That's the power of decentralization, so that they're able to sell their processing power, receive some money every time they sell, and I'm sure they're not going to mind pay 10% on average or 20% to the Todalerity Corp. We did the math, and so far, given that what we know, based on the execution of the points that I've outlined, we're likely to have a company that has also become a unicorn if we execute on this plan, we have the likelihood to get 4 times more revenue than the average unicorns. And you can do the math yourself. That's if we just execute on that.
So
4 times more than the average. So, and many investors would say that, like, well, if the founders, they have that plan to get 4 times more, let's dig deeper and we find out that they're not going to be able to get 4, they're going to be able to get 2. They're going to be able to get 1. Even if we fail that badly, that's still a unicorn. So that's the Todaréri Corp. And we're super excited about it that we have, as you know, 22 projects being built on Toda. That's the only one that I am coming in to be the CEO of. And the Toda network passing that to a seasoned or more so like a growth CEO that's gonna take it from that point. It becomes bureaucratic and so on and so forth. This is not my expertise. So we're handing this, we're taking that, and looking at a bright future. So, yeah.
So you are basically dealing with the VCs. VCs recommend or give you
The VCs, and they're
are they
curated
mostly
up.
American startups?
That's the thing. By looking at 43 of those VCs that they've performed the most, they happen to be American. They're likely to have their startups probably majority American. I might be wrong. We didn't really look into like the origin, but they invest in global companies everywhere. But knowing that culture is that like you're likely to find the majority of them to be in their region. Now, one thing that can be done, which we already started working with other nations, is that if those startups, if they choose to open a subsidiary in other nations, those other nations, they provide them with matching financing and stuff like that. So certainly Korea can be phenomenal candidates for that.
Yeah, it can be beneficial too.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Above and beyond all that, I've been talking to a lot of folks about setting something in parallel to that, which is the AI standards, to have the actual research to be done in Korea. Although the actual funding for that one is likely to come in from sovereign funds, but that doesn't change the fact that most of the engineers that I believe they can do the research and build those standards, they can be local. All of those are more reasons for me to keep coming to Korea, so it's good.
Yeah, so if there is a AI standard research center, if it's a sovereign fund or however, can that be a business? Can that be a personal
That one I
benefit?
don't think would be business. I think that one, because I'm doing it with the IEEE, it's likely to be just like an IEEE center. It's similar to, have you seen the ITU center in Geneva?
Yeah, something
It's kind of like next to the United Nations, like the big.
Yeah.
In ITU, that's all they do is like standards for communication, right? So, or the ISO. So imagine you'd have
It's
a
not
similar,
really business oriented. It's sort of
more like an
a
institution.
UN type of-
Institution, yeah. But I think it's an institution that can generate a lot of business tourism. It generates a lot of engineers that they're going to be working on a lot of fascinating stuff that it's guiding the world of AI. And to be open to a lot of countries and be as neutral as possible. And there are other nations that are willing to host that as well, but I think yes, they can host, but I'm not sure they can provide the engineers. I think South Korea has the ability to provide all the above. So it's an opportunity for the world to benefit from that, and for South Korea. And if you look at South Korea has the ability to speak the English and Chinese. You know, like if you were to look at any nation, it's gonna have the East and the West. In South Korea, you've got that ability to marry the two in a way. And I'm speaking from academic perspective in science and so on and so forth. Of course, we all know, like in politics, people, they always see things differently. But this is more about science, about common knowledge for all Homo sapiens. So it's cool.
So, could you talk about KPMG on this? Or
Yeah, of course. I mean, I can definitely talk about KPMG. The president of KPMG invited the CEO of KPMG, and I've had a couple launches with them. I told them about the plan that I'm doing with IEEE. They've expressed more than interest to be a big partner in writing all the actual business elements as the scientific and engineering and academic stuff that are being done. And I think this is great because KPMG they want to be known as they're the guys they're setting standards. It's very good for their business, but it's also very good for us here to have a certain entity that is already taking care of its own funding and so on and so forth, to do that with a very with considerably reputable name. And what I plan on doing in this mission is to add more and more of those. With the amount of time that I have, it's very, very challenging. I barely have like an hour a week, so I'm hoping that IEEE they provide the people that I would want, and KPMG provide people, because in that hour a week that I get on a call with them, I'm hoping that they can do the execution on day to day and get 5 to 6 other nations and 5 to 6 big players at KPMG by the end of the year to really start like doing the work on the ground and actually getting it done.
That's excellent. Okay, thank you very much.